Hannah sat on the floor of her small room, 7 small bodies pressed against her back. The children were warm and quiet, their crystal-like skin glowing softly in the dim light. She could feel their gentle breathing as they slept. This was how they always slept now, all together, touching her. The door chimed. Hannah did not move. She knew the sound would wake them, and they did not sleep well when apart from her. "Come in," she said softly. Dong Min stepped inside. He was a tall man with kind eyes and rough hands from his years as a medic. He saw the children on Hannah's back and spoke in a whisper. "The message came through," he said. "Official channels. The Galactic Council wants to see you." Hannah felt her stomach drop. She had been waiting for this day for months, hoping it would never come. Behind her, one of the children, little Kira, made a soft sound in her sleep when Hannah asked, "You have 5 days to get to Nexus Prime. The hearing is set for next week." Dongmin sat down in the chair across from her. "Hannah, this is serious. The Villani High Court is pushing hard. They want the children back." Hannah looked down at her hands. The children had been with her for 8 months now. 8 months since she found them hiding in the ruins of their home world. 8 months since their parents died in the attack. "They have no one willing to take them," she said. "The Villani court said so themselves. No families want war orphans." "That doesn't matter to them," Dongmin said. "They think only Villani should raise Villani children. They say humans are too different, too violent." Behind Hannah, another child shifted. This was Lumi, the smallest one. She was only 4 years old in human terms. Her tiny hand gripped Hannah's shirt. "They don't know us," Hannah said. She reached back carefully and touched Lumi's head. The child's crystal skin was warm under her fingers. "They don't know the children." "I know," Dongmin said. "But the council has to follow the law. And Villani law says Villani children belong with Villani families, even if those families don't exist." Even then, Hannah closed her eyes. When she opened them again, Dongmin was watching her with worry. "What will happen to them?" she asked. "Group homes, probably. Villani institutions. They'll be safe and fed, but alone." Dongmin did not answer. He did not need to. They both knew what Villani group homes were like. Clean, quiet places where children lived in separate rooms and learned to be proper Villani adults. No touching, no sleeping together, no comfort. The children behind Hannah had lived through war. They had seen their parents die. They had nightmares and fears that made them shake. In the group homes, they would face those fears alone. "There has to be something we can do," Hannah said. "You can fight it. Make your case to the council." "But Hannah, Dongmin leaned forward. "You need to understand. You're not their legal guardian. You never were. You just took them in. I saved them. I know, but in the eyes of the law, you're just a human who found some lost children. You have no papers, no official status. The Villani see you as a temporary caretaker at best." Hannah felt anger rise in her chest. She pushed it down quickly. Strong emotions woke the children, and they picked up on her feelings through their crystal senses. "What do I need?" she asked. "Proof that you're the best person to care for them. Certificates, training records, psychological evaluations, something that shows you understand their needs better than anyone else." "I don't have any of that." "I know." They sat in silence for a moment. Around them, the small room felt warm and safe. Hannah had made it that way for the children. Soft lights, comfortable blankets, and pictures they had drawn, covering the walls. The children's few belongings were scattered around small toys, books in their native language, and the crystal chimes that helped them sleep. "Tell me about that day again," Dongmin said quietly. "When you found them." Hannah's mind went back 8 months. She had been on Kepler-4 to be studying crystal formations for her research. She was a scientist, not a soldier or a caretaker. But when the raiders attacked, everything changed. "I was in the outer settlement," she said, "collecting samples. I heard the explosions and saw the ships. By the time I got back to the main town, it was too late." She remembered the smoke and the silence. Boaties in the streets. Buildings broken and burning. "I found them in the ruins of a school. They were hiding in a storage closet, pressed together. In the corner, Kira was holding the little ones. They were so scared, they couldn't speak. The children had been covered in dust and crystal fragments from the destroyed building. Their parents were gone. Their teachers were gone. Everyone they knew was gone. They wouldn't come with me at first, Hannah continued. I sat outside the closet for hours, just talking to them. Telling them I was safe. That I would help them. What changed their minds? I started crying. Hannah smiled sadly. I couldn't help it. Seeing them so scared and alone. And when they saw my tears, Kira came out. She touched my face and said something in their language. What did she say? I didn't know then, I learned later. She said, the Watermaker understands our sadness. Dongmin was quiet for a moment, and they've been with you ever since. They won't leave me alone for more than a few minutes. They eat when I eat, sleep when I sleep. They follow me everywhere. The council won't see that as qualification, Dongmin said gently. They'll see it as unhealthy attachment. It's not attachment, Hannah said. It's trust. Behind her, the children breathed softly in their sleep, 7 small hearts beating against her back, 7 lives that depended on her. I have to go, don't I? She asked. Yes, but Hannah, I don't want you to get your hopes up. The council follows rules, not feelings. And the rules say, these children belong with their own people. Even if their own people don't want them. Even then, Hannah felt tears start in her eyes. She blinked them away quickly. The children always knew when she was sad. Will you help me? She asked. Of course, I'll come with you to Nexus Prime. We'll figure out what to say. Thank you. Dongmin stood up quietly. Get some rest. We leave. In 2 days, after he left, Hannah sat in the darkness with the children on her back. She could feel their dreams through their crystal connection. Soft, peaceful dreams of safety and warmth. Dreams she had taught them to have. Soon those dreams might be all they had left of each other. The ship Aurora's Wing was not built for passengers like Hannah and her children. It was a cargo vessel with small rooms and narrow halls. But Captain Giwan had made space for them in the best cabin she could find. Hannah sat by the small window, watching stars move past. The 7 children were arranged on her back in their usual sleeping pattern. They had been traveling for 2 days now, and the children had barely left her side. They're so quiet, Giwan said, entering the cabin with 2 cups of tea. I've never seen children so well behaved on a long trip. Hannah accepted the tea gratefully. They don't like new places. Or new people. It makes them nervous, but they trust you completely. It took time. Hannah sipped her tea carefully, trying not to disturb. The children, when I first found them, they wouldn't even look at me. Juan sat in the chair across from her. She was a small woman with gray hair and steady hands from years of flying ships through space. Tell me about that day. I've heard bits and pieces, but not the whole story. Hannah looked out at the stars again. She had told this story many times, but it never got easier. I was on Kepler 4 for 2B for research. Crystal formations. I'm a scientist, not a rescue worker. She paused. The attack came without warning. Raider ships. They wanted the crystal mines. The Villani couldn't fight back. They're not fighters. They're peaceful people. Artists and thinkers. When the raiders came, they had no defense. Behind her, little Pip stirred in his sleep. His small hand gripped her shirt tighter. Even in dreams, the children remembered the fear. I was collecting samples in the outer fields when I saw the explosions, Hannah continued. By the time I got back to the settlement, it was over. Buildings destroyed. People, ... She stopped. The children. I found them 3 hours later. They were hiding in what used to be their school. 7 children in a storage closet, holding each other. Hannah remembered that moment clearly. The dust and broken crystal everywhere. The terrible silence. And then, in the corner of that small closet, 7 pairs of frightened eyes looking back at her. They thought I was another raider at first, she said. They pressed themselves against the wall and made these soft crying sounds. Not like human crying, more like music, but sad. How did you convince them you were safe? I didn't try to touch them or grab them. I just sat down outside the closet and started talking. I told them my name. I told them I was there to help. Jiwon waited quietly for her to continue. I sat there for 4 hours, just talking. Sometimes I sang human songs my mother taught me. The children listened, but they wouldn't come out. What changed? I started crying. Hannah smiled sadly. I couldn't help it, seeing them so scared and hurt. And when they saw my tears, something happened. The oldest one, Kira, she came forward. Hannah remembered Kira's small crystal hand reaching out to touch her face. The child had spoken in their native language, words Hannah didn't understand then. She said something to the others, and they all came out. They surrounded me, touching my hands and face. All 7 of them. Just like that. Not just like that. It took days before they really trusted me. But that first touch, that was when they decided I might be safe. On her back, Kira made a soft sound in her sleep. Even now, 8 months later, she was always the first to wake if Hannah moved or spoke too loudly. How did you learn their language? Juwon asked. They taught me. Children are good teachers when they want to communicate. Hannah shifted carefully. And I taught them some Korean. They like learning new words. I noticed they mix the languages when they talk. Yes, they call me Iyama Guardian. Iyama is Korean for mother. Guardian is their word for protector. Giwon was quiet for a moment. They see you as both. I never meant for that to happen. I just wanted to keep them safe until we could find their families. But there were no families left. So you became their family. I tried to be what they needed. Hannah thought about those first weeks. The children had nightmares every night. They would wake up screaming, convinced the raiders were coming back. It took time to learn how to comfort them. They sleep differently than human children, she said. Villani children share dreams when they're touching. It's how they feel safe. Is that why they sleep on your back? Partly, but also because of the nightmares. When they have bad dreams alone, the dreams get stronger. But when they're touching me, I can help make the dreams peaceful. How? I don't understand it completely. But when they're sleeping against me, I can feel their emotions through their crystal skin. If they start having bad dreams, I think about calm things, safe things. Somehow, that helps their dreams become better. Juwon shook her head in wonder. The Villani court says humans can't understand their children's needs. The Villani court has never spent a night with frightened children who can't sleep. Have you tried explaining this to them? I've tried. They say it's impossible. That only Villani can share crystal dreams with Villani children. But you're doing it. I'm not sharing dreams exactly. I'm just ... making mine available to them, like leaving a light on in a dark room. Behind her, Lumi made the soft purring sound that meant she was having a good dream. The other children's crystal skin glowed a little brighter, showing they were sharing her peaceful feelings. Look at that, Juan said softly. They're all connected. When one feels safe, they all feel safe. When one is scared, they all get scared. That's why they can't be separated. What do you mean? The Villani court wants to put them in different homes. They think it's better for children to grow up apart, to become independent. But these children have been through trauma together. They need each other, and they need you. I hope so. Because I need them to. Gon looked surprised. How do you mean? Hannah was quiet for a long moment. Before I found them, I was just a scientist studying rocks. I lived alone, worked alone, never really connected to anyone. These children changed. They taught me what family really means. Family isn't just blood. No, it's who stays with you, who chooses to care for you every day. The ship hummed quietly around them. Tomorrow, they would reach Nexus Prime. Tomorrow, Hannah would have to convince the council that a human scientist could be the guardian these alien children needed. Are you scared? Ji-won asked. Yes, but not for myself, for them. Hannah looked down at her hands. If I lose this hearing, they'll be sent to institutions. Separate institutions. They'll have to face their nightmares alone. That won't happen. How can you be sure? Guwon smiled. Because anyone with eyes can see that these children belong with you, the way they trust you completely, the way they sleep so peacefully, the way they've learned to feel safe again. That's not something you can fake or force. The council might not see it that way. Then we'll make sure they do. Behind Hannah, the children slept on, their crystal skin glowing softly in the dim cabin light. 7 small lives depending on her to fight for them tomorrow. 7 hearts beating against her back, trusting that she would find a way to keep their family together. Outside the window, the stars continued their ancient dance, carrying them toward an uncertain future. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council was bigger than anything Hannah had ever seen. The ceiling stretched up so high she could barely see it. Rows of seats surrounded a central platform where 12 different alien species sat in judgment. Hannah stood in the middle of it all, feeling very small. The 7 children were arranged on her back in their sleeping formation, but they were not asleep. They were listening to everything, feeling her nervousness through their crystal connection. "Not be afraid, Iyama Guardian," Kira whispered in her ear. "We are together." The other children made soft humming sounds of agreement. Their crystal skin glowed gently against her back, trying to share calm feelings with her. "The council will now hear the case regarding the custody of 7 Villani orphans," announced a tall blue alien with 4 arms. "I am Speaker Yoon, and I will guide these proceedings." Hannah looked around at the council members. Some looked like humans but with different colored skin. Others had extra arms or eyes in strange places. A few were so alien she couldn't tell which end was their head. The children in question are currently in the unauthorized care of human designation Hannah Kim, Speaker Yoon continued. The Villani High Court has requested their immediate return to proper Villani guardianship. On the far right of the council sat 3 beings that looked like living crystal statues. These were the Villani representatives. Their leader, High Arbiter Quinn, stood up. "Honorable Council," Quinn said, her voice like wind chimes, "these children belong with their own people. Only Villani can understand Villani needs. This human, however well-meaning, cannot provide proper care." Next to her, another Villani representative nodded. "Human emotions are too strong, too chaotic. They will damage the children's developing crystal sense." Hannah felt anger rise in her chest. She pushed it down quickly. The children could feel everything she felt. Furthermore, High Arbiter Quinn continued, "Humans are known for their violent nature. War is common in their history. These orphans have already experienced trauma. They should not be exposed to a species that glorifies conflict." A large reptilian being with scales like armor leaned forward. This was Counselor Vex9 of the Thrakari. The human has no official training in childcare, no certificates, no psychological evaluations. What qualifies her to care for alien children? She has acted purely on emotional impulse. Another council member added, "This is not sufficient basis for guardianship." Hannah felt the children tense behind her. They understood more of the common language than most people realized. She reached back carefully and touched Pip's hand. "It's okay," she whispered. "I'm going to fight for you." On the left side of the council, a human representative stood up. This was Councillor Hyok, one of only 2 humans on the 12-member council. "Honored colleagues," he said, "I ask you to consider the results, not just the credentials. These children have been in Human Kim's care for 8 months. In that time, they have learned to speak 2 languages, shown remarkable emotional recovery, and developed strong social bonds." "Social bonds with the wrong species," High Arbiter Quinn interrupted. "They should be bonding with other Villani, not with humans. But there are no other Villani willing to take them." Councillor Hyok pointed out, "That is temporary. Suitable families will be found when the children have already been waiting 8 months." High Arbiter Quinn's crystal features hardened. Better to wait for proper placement than to allow improper bonding to continue. Speaker Yoon raised one of his 4 hands for silence. "We will hear from the human directly. Human Kim, you stand accused of unauthorized guardianship of alien minors. How do you answer?" Hannah's mouth felt dry. Behind her, The children were perfectly still, but she could feel their hearts beating fast. I answer that I found these children alone and afraid, she said. I gave them safety when no one else would. Safety is not enough, Counselor Vex9 said. Children need proper cultural education, species-appropriate nutrition, and developmental guidance suited to their biology. I have learned their customs, Hannah replied. I speak their language. I understand their dietary needs. You learned some words and cooking techniques, High Arbiter, Quinn said dismissively. But you cannot teach them the deep crystal meditations that connect our people. You cannot guide them through the brightening ceremony when they come of age. You are not Villani, but I care for them. Care is not qualification. The council chamber was quiet for a moment. Hannah could hear her own heart beating. Behind her, little Nico made a tiny whimpering sound. Human Kim, Speaker Yoon said. The council requires concrete evidence of your fitness as a guardian. Do you have certificates in child development? Training in alien psychology? Medical knowledge of Villani, physiology? No, Hannah said quietly. Do you have legal documentation establishing your guardianship rights? No. Do you have psychological evaluations proving your mental stability and suitability for raising children? No. Murmurs ran through the council chamber. Several members shook their heads or made disappointed sounds. Then what? Speaker Yoon asked. Do you offer as evidence that you should retain custody of these children? Hannah looked around the massive chamber. 12 powerful beings stared down at her, waiting for her answer. She had no certificates, no training, no official qualifications at all. But she had something else. I offer them, she said simply. What? Do you mean? Hi, Arbiter, Quinn asked. I offer the children themselves as evidence. Look at them. See how they are. We can see they are present, Counselor Vex9 said impatiently. That proves nothing. It proves everything, Hannah said. She could feel the children shifting slightly behind her. They knew what was coming. Human Kim, Speaker Yoon, said sternly. This council requires concrete proof, not emotional appeals. If you have no qualifications, no training, no documentation, then what exactly qualifies you to be their guardian? The chamber fell silent. This was the moment Hannah had been dreading and preparing for, the question she had no official answer to. What qualified her to be their guardian? Her years of education? No, she was a crystal researcher, not a child specialist. Her species? No, she was human, not Villani. Her legal status? No, she had no official rights at all. So what did she have? Hannah looked straight at High Arbiter Quinn, then at Speaker Yoon, then at each council member in turn. You want to know what qualifies me? She asked. Yes, Speaker Yoon said. What qualifies you to be guardian to these Villani children? Hannah took a deep breath. Behind her, she felt the children arrange themselves more securely. They knew what she was about to do. This she said. And she took a single step to her right. The effect was immediate and dramatic. As Hannah moved sideways, the 7 children became fully visible to the entire council for the first time, but they were not awake and alert as everyone expected. They were sleeping. All 7 Villani children were fast asleep on her back, arranged in a complex interwoven pattern. Their crystal skin glowed softly with the steady rhythm of deep, peaceful sleep. Their small faces were relaxed and content. The council chamber fell completely silent. High Arbiter Quinn stood up slowly, her crystal features reflecting the light in amazement. That's impossible, she whispered. But it was happening right in front of them all. 7 Villani orphans, sleeping peacefully in a room full of strangers, completely trusting and unafraid. This, Hannah said quietly, is what qualifies me. The council chamber stayed perfectly quiet. 12 powerful beings stared at the 7 sleeping children on Hannah's back. No one moved. No one spoke. High Arbiter Quinn stepped closer, her crystal features reflecting the soft glow from the children's skin. Her eyes were wide with shock. This cannot be real, she whispered. But it was real. 7 Villani orphans slept peacefully in the most public place in the galaxy. Their small bodies rose and fell with slow, steady breathing. Their crystal skin pulsed gently with the rhythm of deep sleep. In all my centuries, High Arbiter, Quinn said, her voice shaking, I have never seen this. Counselor Vex9 leaned forward on his scaly arms. What exactly are we looking at? Sleeping Villani children, Counselor Hyok said softly. But that should be impossible. Why impossible? Speaker Yoon asked. High Arbiter Quinn turned to address the council, but her eyes kept going back to the sleeping children. Villani young suffer from severe sleep disorders, especially orphans. They have nightmares, night terrors, and chronic insomnia. Our children rarely sleep more than 2 hours at a time, even in their own homes. Asked a council member with 6 eyes. Even in their own homes, adult Villani sleep alone, always alert for danger. We cannot share peaceful dreams with our young, the way these children are experiencing now. The chamber filled with whispers as council members discussed what they were seeing. How long have they been asleep? Speaker Yoon asked Hannah. About an hour, Hannah replied quietly. Since we entered the chamber. More whispers. Several council members looked amazed. They fell asleep in here, Councillor Vex9 asked. In a room full of strangers, with loud voices and strange smells. Yes. That's single quotes, I Arbiter. Quinn struggled for words. That's unprecedented. A new voice spoke from the far end of the council seats. It belonged to Councillor Michelle, a tall being with pale blue skin and large black eyes. The Zentari were known as empaths, able to sense emotions from other beings. Speaker Yoon, Councillor Michelle said, request permission to scan the emotional resonance. Granted, Councillor Michelle closed her large eyes and extended her hands toward Hannah and the children. A soft blue light surrounded her fingers as she read their emotional states. After a moment, she opened her eyes and looked directly at the council. The emotional signature is remarkable, she announced. The children are not just asleep, they are experiencing deep, shared dreams of complete safety and contentment. Their trust levels are absolute. They feel no fear, no anxiety, no alertness. They are as peaceful as sleeping babies in their mother's arms. But she's not their mother. High Arbiter, Quinn protested. She's not even their species. Their emotions. Don't know that, Councillor Michelle replied. To them, she is safety itself. Speaker Yoon activated a communication device. Bring in Dr. Tiemann via hologram link. A few moments later, a shimmering blue image appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a middle-aged human man with kind eyes and gray hair. Dr. Tiemann, Speaker Yoon said, you are an expert in xenopsychology, correct? Yes, Speaker. I specialize in cross-species psychological bonds. Please examine what you see here and give your professional opinion. Dr. Tiemann's hologram turned to look at Hannah and the sleeping children. His eyes widened. Extraordinary, he breathed. Absolutely extraordinary. Explain. What I'm seeing is what we call a pack bond. It's a psychological phenomenon where beings from different species form deep emotional connections that transcend biological compatibility. Is this common? Asked Councillor Vex9. Extremely rare. Pack bonds usually only form under conditions of extreme stress or survival need. The bond creates a psychological family unit where members feel complete safety and trust with each other. High Arbiter Quinn stepped forward. Doctor, these children should be bonding with other Villani, not with a human. With respect, Arbiter. That's not how pack bonds work. They don't form based on species similarity. They form based on who provides safety, comfort, and consistent care during times of greatest need. But surely, Villani guardians would be better suited. Actually no. Dr. Tiemann's expression grew serious. Once a pack bond is formed, breaking it causes severe psychological trauma. These children have bonded with this human as their primary attachment figure. Separating them would be like tearing away part of their emotional foundation. The council chamber buzzed with worried whispers. Are you saying, Speaker Yoon asked carefully, that removing these children from human Kims care would harm them. I'm saying it could destroy them psychologically. Children who lose pack bonds often develop severe depression, anxiety disorders, and, in extreme cases, may stop eating or communicating entirely. Behind Hannah, little Vera made a soft sound in her sleep. Without waking, she adjusted her position to stay connected to the other children. "Look at that," Dr. Taman said, pointing at Vera. "See how she maintains contact even while unconscious. That's the pack bond in action. These children have learned to feel safe as a group, with their human guardian as the anchor point." "But what about their cultural education?" High Arbiter Quinn asked desperately. "Their species heritage. They can learn both," Dr. Taman replied. "Pack bonds don't prevent cultural learning. In fact, children with strong emotional security often learn faster and more completely than those without it." Counselor Michelle spoke again. "I can confirm. The doctor's assessment, the emotional patterns I'm reading, show that these children have developed remarkable resilience. They've healed from trauma in ways that would be impossible without deep feelings of safety." "How do you mean?" Speaker Yoon asked. "Trauma creates emotional scars that make children fearful and hyper-alert, but these children show no signs of trauma-related stress. They've learned to trust completely again. That level of healing requires someone who can provide absolute emotional safety." High Arbiter Quinn looked frustrated. "But she has no training, no qualifications." "She has something better," Dr. Taman said gently. "She has their complete trust. And in cases of traumatized children, trust matters more than any certificate." "This is all very touching," Counselor Vexnine said, "but what about practical concerns? Can this human really provide for all their needs?" "Let me ask a different question," Counselor Hyok said. "Hi, Arbiter Quinn, how many hours per day do Valani orphans typically sleep in your institutional care?" Hi, Arbiter Quinn hesitated. 2 to 3 hours, interrupted. "And how many hours have these children slept?" "According to our observations." Speaker Yoon checked his notes. "They sleep 8 to 10 hours per night, uninterrupted. That alone shows better care than our institutions provide," Counselor Hyok pointed out. The chamber fell quiet again. Everyone looked at the sleeping children, their soft breathing the only sound. "There's something else," Dr. Taman said quietly. "Something remarkable about what I'm seeing." "What?" Speaker Yoon asked. "These children aren't just sleeping peacefully. They're sharing dreams across species lines. That should be impossible according to everything we know about Valani crystal sensibilities." High Arbiter Quinn stared at him. "What do you mean? Your people can only share dreams with other Valani. But somehow, this human has learned to provide what I can only call dream shelter. She's creating a safe space in their shared unconscious where they can rest without fear." "That's impossible," High Arbiter Quinn whispered. "And yet, there it is, happening right in front of us." On Hannah's back, the 7 children slept on, their crystal skin glowing with shared contentment. They had no idea they were changing the course of galactic law simply by trusting enough to sleep. Speaker Unit Counselor Michelle said softly, "I recommend we reassess to consider what we've witnessed." "Agreed. But first, ... double quotes." Speaker Yoon looked directly at Hannah. "One question, Human Kim. Do the children always sleep like this?" "Every night," Hannah replied. "For 8 months. And before they met you, they couldn't sleep at all. Too many nightmares." Speaker Yoon nodded slowly. "Council will recess for 1 hour to deliberate." As the council members began to file out, High Arbiter Quinn approached Hannah. She moved carefully, trying not to wake the children. "I need to see this closer," she said quietly. She came within arm's reach and studied the sleeping children's faces. Her own crystal features reflected their soft glow. "They look so peaceful," she whispered. "So, safe." "They are safe," Hannah said simply. "But how? How did you learn to give them what even we cannot?" "I listened to what they needed, and I stayed." High Arbiter Quinn stood there for a long moment, watching the children sleep. When she finally looked up at Hannah, there were tears in her crystal eyes. "Perhaps," she said softly, That's qualification enough. When the council returned, the children were still sleeping on Hannah's back. They had not moved for almost 2 hours. Their gentle breathing filled the quiet chamber. Speaker Yoon took his seat and looked around at the other council members. We have reached a decision. Hannah felt her heart beating fast. Behind her, Kira stirred slightly, but did not wake. However, Speaker Yoon continued, before we announce our verdict, High Arbiter Quinn has requested to speak. The Villani leader stood up slowly. Her crystal features looked different than before, softer somehow. Honored Council, she began. I came here today believing I knew what was best for these children. I believed that only Villani could care for Villani young. She paused and looked directly at Hannah. I was wrong. Whispers filled the chamber. This was not what anyone expected. In all my centuries of life, I have never seen Villani children sleep, as these 7 are sleeping now, not in our finest homes, not in our safest institutions, not even in the arms of their birth parents. High Arbiter Quinn stepped closer to Hannah and the sleeping children. Our children suffer from anxiety and sleep disorders. It is part of our nature. We are always alert, always listening for danger. We believed this was normal. We believed it was necessary. She gestured toward the children on Hannah's back. But look at them. They have found something we thought impossible: complete peace, complete trust. They sleep like the children in our oldest stories, from the time before fear ruled our people. Councillor Vex9 leaned forward. Are you saying you support the humans' guardianship? I am saying more than that. High Arbiter Quinn's voice grew stronger. I am saying that this human has given our children something we could not. She has healed their trauma in ways our own people failed to do. But what about their cultural education? Asked another council member. Culture is important, High Arbiter Quinn agreed. But life is more important. What good is teaching them our ways if they cannot sleep peacefully? What good is preserving our traditions if our children live in constant fear? She turned to address the full council. This human has not taken our children away from their culture. She has given them the security they need to embrace it. Look how they mix her language with ours. Listen to how they call her, Iama, combining her word for mother with our word for protector. Behind Hannah, little OSS made a soft humming sound in his sleep. The other children's crystal skin glowed brighter for a moment, sharing his peaceful dreams. They are not losing their identity. High Arbiter Quinn continued. They are expanding it. They are becoming something new. Villani children who know both our wisdom and human love. Councillor Michel spoke up. The emotional readings support this. The children show strong cultural pride alongside deep personal security. They know who they are because they feel safe about who they are. Dr. Temen's hologram nodded in agreement. This is actually the ideal outcome for cross-cultural adoption. The children maintain their birth identity while gaining new perspectives and coping skills. Speaker Yoon looked around the chamber. Are there any objections to High Arbiter Quinn's assessment? Councillor Vex9 raised one scaly hand. I have a practical question. If we allow this arrangement to continue, what happens when other species want to adopt children from different races? Do we change all our laws? That is an excellent question, said a new voice. It belonged to Councillor Bora, who had been quiet throughout the proceedings. She was from the Axiom species, known for their wisdom and careful thinking. This case has shown us something important, Councillor Bora continued. We have been thinking about guardianship all wrong. We focus on species compatibility and cultural preservation, but we should focus on the children's needs first. What do you mean? Speaker Yoon asked. Look at the evidence. These children have thrived under human care in ways they never could under traditional Villani care. They sleep peacefully. They learn eagerly. They feel safe and loved. Councillor Bora stood up and pointed at the sleeping children. The question should not be, can a human raise Villani children? The question should be, what do these specific children need to be healthy and happy? And the answer, Councillor Hyok added, is clearly that they need this specific human, who has already proven she can care for them. Speaker Yoon nodded slowly. So you are suggesting we judge each case individually rather than by species rules? Exactly, Councillor Bora said. Some children might need same-species guardians. Others, like these 7, might need someone who can provide what their own species cannot. This could change everything, Councillor Vex9 said. Yes, it could. High Arbiter, Quinn agreed, and perhaps it should. Perhaps we have been too rigid in our thinking about families and guardianship. The chamber was quiet for a moment. Everyone looked at the sleeping children, still peaceful and unaware of the important discussion happening around them. There is one more thing, Dr. Taman said. These children have developed something remarkable: the ability to form deep bonds across species lines. This could be valuable for the future of galactic cooperation. How so? Speaker Yoon asked. They understand both human and Villani perspectives. They speak both languages fluently. They could become bridges between our peoples, helping us understand each other better. Natro Ambassador's Councillor Michiel agreed. Born from love rather than politics. High Arbiter, Quinn smiled, the first time anyone had seen her show such emotion. Yes, they could teach us all something about building families based on care rather than DNA. Speaker Yoon looked around the council one final time. Are we ready to vote? All 12 council members nodded, all in favor of granting Human Kim full legal guardianship of the 7 Villani children. 12 hands rose into the air. The vote was unanimous. Furthermore, Speaker Yoon announced, this council establishes the Interspecies Guardian Program, allowing beings of any species to apply for guardianship. If they can demonstrate genuine care and beneficial bonds with children of other species. The chamber erupted in applause. Behind Hannah, the children began to stir. The noise was waking them up. Kira opened her eyes first. As always, she looked around at all the strange aliens clapping and making noise. Ia Magadian, she said sleepily, in her mixed language, why are the big people so happy? Hannah felt tears running down her face. Because we get to stay together, little one. We get to go home, all of us, all of us. One by one, the other children woke up. They rubbed their eyes and looked around the grand chamber with curiosity rather than fear. Did we sleep through the big meeting? Pip asked. You were the most important part of the meeting, Hannah told him. We were, yes. You showed everyone how much we love each other. Lumi, the smallest, climbed around to hug Hannah from the front. Are we really a family now? A legal family? We were always a family, Hannah said, hugging her back. Now everyone else knows it too. High Arbiter Quinn approached them carefully. The children watched her with interest, but no fear. Children, she said, in their native language, I want you to know that your birth people are proud of you. You have shown us new ways to be strong and loving. Kira translated for the others, then looked back at the Arbiter. Will you visit us? Sometimes, we want to learn more Villani stories. I would be honored to visit and teach you about your heritage. And we'll teach you about human games, Nico added helpfully. High Arbiter, Quinn laughed, a sound like crystal bells ringing. Would like that very much. As they prepared to leave the chamber, Speaker Yoon called out to them. Human Kim, one final question. Hannah turned back, the children clustering around her. What will you tell other humans about today? Hannah thought for a moment, looking down at the 7 small faces, gazing up at her with complete trust and love. Tell them that family isn't about matching DNA or looking the same. Family is about who stays with you, who keeps you safe, and who loves you exactly as you are. And what will you tell the children when they ask what happened here today? Hannah smiled and gathered all 7 children into her arms. I'll tell them that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply sleep peacefully, knowing that someone loves you enough to keep you safe while you dream. The children giggled and hugged her tighter. Can we go home now? Vera asked. Yes, Hannah said, her heart full of joy. We can go home. And together, the family of 8 walked out of the council chamber, toward their future, a future where love mattered more than species, where trust was the greatest qualification. and where 7 small children had changed the galaxy simply by feeling safe enough to sleep.